Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault. It's time for another range report, and a range report on a really cool 1911. This is a Rock Island Armory CCO, concealed carry officer, meaning officer style frame, with a commander slide chambered in their proprietary cartridge, the TCM9R, which is really a sub-variant of the TCM22, which is a really interesting bottlenecked cartridge that is developed from the 5.56. They say this thing is a really screaming cartridge and a lot of fun out of these 1911s. I've never shot one, so I'm very excited to see the recoil impulse, how it performs, and get my initial thoughts. So let's put a magazine down range and see what I think. All right, so we've already had a problem before I can shoot this thing for the first time. When I was trying to insert the magazine, I was going to tap it in, the whole magazine fell apart. So come over here, I'm going to show you what happened. The whole base plate of the magazine just came off the gun, the spring came out, and all the rounds fell out of the magazine. I have never had that happen, never seen that before. So this just might be a magazine issue. I don't think it says anything about the quality of the gun. I'm going to load up a couple of other magazines that Jack gave me, because this gun is on loan to the channel from Jack, and these are Wilson Combat mags. Now, these are known for being high quality, so I don't know what happened there. But let's load these up and let's get my first shots. All right, so I got these Wilson Combat extended mags loaded up. So let's now put our first rounds down range. Okay, wow, that is a flash. Dang, that is pretty awesome. But I gotta say, it has the recoil of a 22. That is freaking awesome. Okay, I'm gonna load some more magazines up before I tell you guys my initial thoughts. That's awesome. All right, so let's put another one of these magazines through this thing. I gotta say, first and foremost, being a 1911, this thing has a great trigger pull. I am so impressed with the Rock Island Armory triggers, and I just reviewed another Rock Island Armory 1911 just a few days ago. But the recoil impulse on this is like shooting a 22, but it definitely doesn't have the ballistics of a 22. All right, so we had a malfunction here. I have a failure to extract. So let me clear this malfunction here. And it looks like that casing is stuck in that barrel. So we definitely have an issue here. So that cartridge has been spent, and I guess the casing has expanded, but it is not coming out, and that extractor cannot pull it out. So maybe this range report is over for now after one magazine and one round. So I'll spend a minute here, see if I can get this thing out, and if not, we'll talk about it as soon as I get this gun back to the table. All right, so I've taken the barrel out, and as you can see, this casing is stuck in this chamber. So I'm definitely gonna have to go back to the garage and pound that thing out. But the range report is not over. Luckily, this caliber is convertible very easily to 9mm, and Jack provided me with a 9mm barrel, and the magazines are exactly the same. So I'm going to run the same magazines as I already have. I just changed out the recoil spring and the barrel. So the range report will go on, but unfortunately it's not going to be with this really cool TCM9R. I am fascinated by this cartridge. That was awesome, but unfortunately, I only got to shoot, I don't know, 15 rounds or so. But let's move on to 9mm, see how the gun performs. Wow, I am really blown away with this gun and the accuracy of this barrel. All right, so as you can see, I just shoot out the center of that target pretty easy. And being a 9mm 1911 recoil, super manageable. The only thing that's a little bit weird is these are full-size magazines. So these are designed to go in a government style frame versus the officer. So they do stick out just a little bit. So when I'm shooting it, I can feel it on my pinky. But the magazines are not going to affect the reliability, but I would like to have some officer-size mags just to get that feel, but these are going to work just fine. All right, I'm going to load up a couple more magazines and see how I do at longer range. All right, so the target is set at 12 yards. I'm going to be going for the head and see how I do. All right, so not as happy with this group, but I do have to say, while the target's coming in, I know a lot of 1911 purists out there will say the 1911 should only be chambered in 45, maybe 38 super, but I really like it in 9mm. I never really thought I would be a fan of that, but this gun shoots awesome. All right, so 12 yards, grouping, not so good, but I'll take it for my level of marksmanship. This is a really fun gun to shoot. I am so impressed with these Rock Island Armories. They have come so far since the first time I saw them on the shelves, I don't know, maybe over a decade ago. But I know I've had a couple of issues today. I had a magazine explosion, had a round get stuck in the chamber, but when it comes to the 9mm conversion, so far, it's ran great. I'm gonna load up another magazine, have my wife shoot it, see what she thinks. Alright, so we only have a few rounds of 9 left here. I'm going to go ahead and use the target my wife just used. She said she really liked this. She could manage the recoil really well. It was very comfortable in her hand. But of course, it's a 1911, and everyone knows the ergonomics of a good 1911. Alright, so I think I got 5 or 6 rounds left. I'm going to go single-handed and shoot this like its original intention was in the U.S. Army. If you ever look at those old World War I videos, you see the guy shooting it one-handed. I'm going to try it with my last few rounds here. Then we're going to go back to the garage, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts. That's always fun. All right, so let's get back to the garage and talk about all the crazy things that happened in this range report. Man, oh man, was that a wild ride. You would think I was reviewing a Kel-Tec with this gun falling apart at the range while I'm shooting it. But I'm actually shooting a pretty darn quality gun from Armscor, or Rock Island Armory. Armscor owns Rock Island Armory. But I'm going to have to divide this up into two segments because the gun actually ran pretty well when I put the 9mm barrel in this thing. But when I ran the TCM9R, well, you guys saw what happened. I think I got through 10 rounds. But let's talk about the caliber first and my very limited experience shooting it. So here is the bullet again. The history of this thing apparently is that they cut down a 5.56 cartridge and put a 22 caliber projectile in it, but it can run in a 9mm when they recess the projectile, and that's what this is. The 9R is what I guess that means. So it's kind of a variant of the TCM22 is what I believe they call it. And from the few rounds that I shot, this thing is pretty awesome. I mean, it had a huge flash, it was very loud, and it had almost no recoil. So it reminds me a lot of the 5.7, but very interesting cartridge. So I was able to come home and knock the cartridge out of the barrel. So here is the TCM barrel, and I was able to knock that cartridge out. It does not seem to be damaged in any way. The primer definitely got a nice hard primer strike, and you saw that the projectile was expelled. And I guess the case expanded and it just got caught. So when I got it home, it was really easy just to kind of pound out, knock out. I got it out, so who knows, maybe if I get a chance and some time, I may go back and finish off the other 40 rounds I have of this stuff and see how I like it. And I'm curious to see if more rounds would get stuck in the chamber, so I should probably take a tool with me or something to knock those out if that is the case. So I'm not sure if this ammo is a little bit out of spec or possibly if the barrel is a little bit out of spec. I don't know. Maybe someone that knows a little bit more about this caliber could tell me in the comments section below. Let's talk about the magazine failure. Well, I think the base plate was just not put in right when you have the tabs that are bent over. So I don't have the base plate anymore. It just flew off somewhere. I have no idea where it's at. But I do have the spring, the follower, and the little spacer in there because this is designed for 9mm. So Jack, I'm sorry your magazine fell apart. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm really sorry. I'll bring everything back to you. You obviously have more 9mm 1911 magazines, which are of high quality. These are the Wilson Combats, and these ran great. This one, however, did not, and this one might be an Armscore or a Rock Island Armory. I'm not sure. It's not stamped with anything, so I don't know who the manufacturer was, but I've never seen a 1911 magazine fall apart. And all I did was just tap it in, base plate came off, and everything came out. So now let's get to the gun. So here it is. It is the Rock Island Armory. I believe the model is the M1911A1 TAC 2 is what it says here on the side. And the profile of this is a CCO, or a concealed carry officer, which means that it is an officer size frame with a commander sized slide. It's actually a very well balanced gun. You do lose that round of capacity with the officer size stock, but that's just the way it goes. But for concealed carry, this is actually a really awesome pistol because the length of the slide doesn't matter as much as the length of the grip when it comes to holstering. This has a lot of upgrades that you would expect on higher end 1911s, even though this is just an entry level 1911. You have the beaver tail grip safety. It appears to have a metal mainspring housing. The trigger on this is really nice, and I'll talk about that in a moment. You have Novak adjustable rear sights and a fiber optic front sight. It's really nice. Everything else on this is basically Armscore. You have a Parkerized finish. Now, unlike the 10mm that I recently reviewed, this does have a barrel bushing in the front, so you can get this apart like a traditional 1911, which was nice when it came to changing out the barrels on the range. If that was not the case, I would not have been able to change it out if I needed that little paper clip like I did on the 10mm. So I like this one a lot better than the design of the 10mm. But the Parkerized finish on this looks pretty darn nice. It does come with these factory G10 grips. It's just an attractive 1911. It doesn't have all the frills. It only has rear cocking serrations, and it has a standard safety and slide stop on it. But you get a lot for your money on this, especially because of the caliber it's chambered in. Now, I don't really know what the ammo availability on this caliber is right now and how expensive it is, but I do know it is relatively proprietary. I have never seen another company make it, but I guess Arms Corps does pump this stuff out in pretty big numbers. If this is a caliber that you're interested in, and to be honest with you, I think this is something that I may investigate a little bit more because I can see a lot of potential and potency in this round. Let's talk about the basics of the gun. As I said, manual of arms is the same as a basic 1911. But what I really like about these Rock Island Armories that I'm really impressed with is with a budget 1911, you get a fantastic trigger. Now, is this going to be the same as a Wilson Combat? No, but it has a very short take up. It's very smooth. You feel the wall. It has a very crisp break. And the reset on this is extremely short, and you're right back at that wall. This is one fantastic trigger. So, how am I going to rate this thing? Well, maybe I should divide it up. I think if it comes to just the TCM9R, well, I got to give it 1 star out of 5, maybe 0 stars out of 5. The magazine fell apart, and a round got stuck in the chamber on the second magazine. I think if it would have ran great, it would be a 5 out of 5 star review. On the 9mm side, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. It ran like a 9mm 1911. It's well built. Everything else I can say about Rock Island Armory that's positive is right there. But if I combine the ratings, I'd only have to give this 2.5 stars out of 5 overall because of the crazy malfunctions I had. It just did not leave a good taste in my mouth when it came to that TCM9R. But I do think it is worthy of giving it another shot. But let me give you guys a close-up here of this fantastic looking pistol. And I really think that even though I had those crazy malfunctions, this actually turned out to be a pretty interesting and good review. I do like this, and I would definitely give it another shot. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have any of these proprietary cartridges from Rock Island Armory, either the TCM22 or the TCM9R? And what do you guys think about them? And did you have the same issues that I had? Well, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.